Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered why your glutes do not look the way they used to? Maybe you still stay active. Maybe you walk regularly. Maybe you even do exercises that are supposed to strengthen your lower body. Yet somehow the shape seems different. The upper part looks flatter. The sides appear less full. And the round, lifted appearance you once had does not seem as easy to maintain. If that sounds familiar, you are far from alone. Many adults over 50 notice these changes and immediately assume there is only one explanation. They tell themselves it is simply part of getting older. And while age can influence how the body changes over time, there may be more to the story than most people realize. What if the issue is not only about muscle strength? What if the real problem begins somewhere else? This is where many people are surprised. The muscles of the hips and glutes do not work in isolation. They depend on the position and stability of the structures around them. One of the most important of these structures is the pelvis. When the pelvis moves and functions well, the glute muscles can contribute more effectively to everyday movement. But when alignment and movement patterns begin to change, the glutes may not perform as efficiently as they once did. That means you can stay active and still feel as though your efforts are not producing the results you expected. The good news is that change is not necessarily something you must simply accept. Understanding how your body moves may open the door to new ways of supporting strength, posture, and confidence as you age. And that is exactly what we are going to explore next. So if the glutes are not the entire story, what is? The answer may lie in a part of the body that most people rarely think about. Your pelvis. Think of your pelvis as the foundation of your lower body. Just as a house depends on a stable foundation to remain strong and balanced. Your hips, spine, and glute muscles depend on the pelvis to support healthy movement. When everything is working together well, movement feels natural. Walking feels smooth. Standing feels stable. And the muscles of the hips and glutes can contribute the way they were designed to. But over time, small changes can begin to occur. Years of sitting. Changes in posture. Less daily movement. These factors may gradually influence how the pelvis moves and positions itself during everyday activities. The change is often so subtle that many people never notice it happening. Yet the effects can slowly add up. When the pelvis is not moving efficiently, the glute muscles may not participate as effectively during walking, climbing stairs, or even exercise. Instead, other areas of the body may begin doing more of the work. The lower back may become more involved. The thighs may take on extra effort. Meanwhile, the glutes can become less active over time. What makes this especially important is that many people continue exercising without realizing this shift has occurred. They stay committed. They stay active. Yet they never address the foundation underneath the movement. That is why understanding pelvic function is so important. Before we focus on building stronger glutes, we first need to understand how to help the entire system work together again. And this brings us to a question that frustrates many people. If you have been exercising regularly, why are you still not seeing the changes you hoped for? Perhaps you have done squats. Perhaps you have tried bridges. Maybe you have followed workout routines specifically designed for the glutes. Yet the shape does not seem to improve the way you expected. For many people, this can feel discouraging. They begin to wonder if they are doing something wrong. Or worse, they assume their body is simply no longer capable of responding. But there may be another explanation. What if the issue is not how hard you are working? What if it is how your body is working during the movement? When the pelvis is not functioning efficiently, the glute muscles may not contribute as effectively as intended. Instead of the glutes doing most of the work, other areas such as the thighs, hips, or lower back may begin taking over. The movement still happens. The exercise still gets completed. But the muscles you are trying to target may not be fully involved. This is one reason some people can stay active for years and still feel disappointed with their results. The effort is real. The commitment is real. But the movement pattern may not be supporting the goal. The encouraging news is that this is not about blame and it is not about failure. It simply means there may be an important piece missing from the process. Before asking the glutes to become stronger, We first need to help them become more involved. And that starts by teaching the body how to move in a more balanced and coordinated way. So how does this happen in the first place? For most people, it does not happen overnight. There is usually no single moment when the body suddenly changes. Instead, it develops gradually through small habits repeated day after day and year after year. Think about how much time the average person spends sitting. At a desk. In a car. Watching television. Relaxing at home. None of these activities seem harmful on their own. But over time, long periods of sitting can influence how the body moves and supports itself. Some muscles become less active. Others begin working harder than they should. Little by little, movement patterns start to change. Posture may change as well. The body is remarkably adaptable. It constantly adjusts to whatever demands are placed upon it. The challenge is that it also adapts to inactivity. When certain movements are performed less often, the body may become less efficient at using them. Many people never notice these changes because they happen so slowly. They simply wake up one day and realize they feel stiffer than before, less stable than before, or less confident in the way they move. What is important to understand is that these changes are not necessarily signs that your body has failed you. In many cases, they are simply the result of adaptations that have accumulated over time. And if habits can influence the way the body moves, then new habits may help support positive changes as well. That is why the next step is not about working harder. It is about helping the body rediscover movement patterns that encourage better balance, stability, and glute involvement. And this is where many people make a mistake without even realizing it. Once they notice weakness, flatness, or changes in the way their body moves, their first instinct is to do more. More repetitions. More exercises. More effort. But what if the answer is not doing more? What if the answer is doing something differently? Imagine trying to build a house on a foundation that is not stable. You could add stronger walls. You could add better materials. But if the foundation is not working properly, the results will never be as strong as they could be. The same principle applies to movement. Before the body can build strength efficiently, it must first know how to use the right muscles at the right time. That is why the goal is not simply to strengthen the glutes. The goal is to help them participate again. To help them reconnect with the movements they were designed to support. For many adults, this process begins by slowing down. Not speeding up. Paying attention to how the body moves. Not how hard it works. When movement becomes more coordinated, strength often follows naturally. The hips move better. The pelvis becomes more stable. And the glutes have a greater opportunity to contribute during everyday activities. This idea may seem simple, but it changes everything. Because real progress is not always about pushing harder. Sometimes it begins with teaching the body to move better first. And that is exactly where we are going to start. The first movement is not designed to challenge your strength. It is designed to help your body rediscover it. First exercise. Wall hinge and lateral shift. So now that we understand why movement quality comes before strength, let us begin with the first exercise. And you may be surprised by how simple it is. This is called the wall hinge and lateral shift. At first glance, it may not look like much. There are no weights. There is no intense effort. And you probably will not feel exhausted afterward. But that is exactly the point. This movement is not designed to challenge your muscles. It is designed to reconnect them. Stand a short distance away from a wall and gently hinge your hips backward until you lightly touch the wall behind you. From there, slowly shift your hips a small distance to one side. Return to center, and then repeat on the other side. Move slowly. Move with control. And pay attention to how your body feels. The goal is not speed. The goal is awareness. As you perform this movement, you may begin to notice differences between the left and right sides of your body. One side may feel smoother. One side may feel less stable. That awareness is valuable because it helps you understand how your body is currently moving. More importantly, this gentle shifting action encourages the hips, pelvis, and glute muscles to work together again. Instead of forcing strength, you are creating the conditions that allow strength to develop later. Think of this exercise as a reset. A way to remind your body how efficient movement is supposed to feel. Because before stronger glutes can be built, they first need an opportunity to participate. And this simple movement helps create that opportunity. At this point, you may be thinking something interesting. Can a movement this small really make a difference? That is a fair question because most of us have been taught to associate exercise with effort. We assume that if a movement does not leave us tired, sweating, or out of breath, it cannot be effective. But the body does not always work that way. Sometimes the most important improvements happen before strength, before endurance, and before visible change. They begin with coordination. They begin with awareness. That is why the wall hinge and lateral shift is so valuable. The movement itself is small, but the message it sends to the body is significant. Each slow shift encourages your pelvis, hips, and glutes to communicate more efficiently. Each controlled repetition gives your nervous system an opportunity to practice a healthier movement pattern. There is no need to rush. There is no need to force the motion. In fact, precision is far more important than intensity. For many adults over 50, this approach feels refreshing. Instead of asking the body to work harder, it asks the body to work smarter. And when movement becomes more organized, other improvements often follow. Standing may feel more stable. Walking may feel more comfortable. Daily activities may require less effort. Most importantly, confidence begins to return. This lesson extends far beyond a single exercise. It reminds us that progress is not always measured by how much we do. Very often, lasting improvement begins with small actions performed consistently and with purpose. And now that we have started rebuilding that foundation, we are ready for the next step, teaching those reawakened muscles to become stronger and more capable in everyday movement. Second exercise: wall-facing squat with calf raise. Now that the foundation has been reintroduced and the body is beginning to move with greater awareness, it is time for the next step. Strength. But not the kind of strength most people immediately think about. This is not about lifting heavy weights or pushing your body to exhaustion. It is about building strength that supports everyday life. That is where the wall-facing squat with calf raise comes in. At first, the setup may seem simple. Standing close to a wall naturally encourages you to stay tall through the spine. It helps you avoid leaning forward and promotes better body awareness throughout the movement. As you lower into a comfortable squat, the muscles of the hips and legs begin to work together. Then comes the calf raise. This small addition challenges balance, coordination, and control all at the same time. The movement encourages the body to stabilize from the ground up. And because the pelvis has already been addressed through the first exercise, the glute muscles are now in a better position to participate. This is especially important for the muscles along the sides of the hips that contribute to stability and support during daily activities. What makes this exercise so valuable is that it reflects real life. Every day we stand up. We walk. We climb steps. We shift our weight from one leg to the other. This movement helps prepare the body for those tasks. It is not simply about appearance. It is about creating a stronger and more capable body that can move with confidence, balance, and greater ease throughout the day. And this leads to something even more important than muscle shape alone. Because when most people think about stronger glutes, they often think about appearance. They think about how they look in the mirror, how their clothes fit, or how their body has changed over the years. But the real value of strong and active glutes goes far beyond appearance. It shows up in the moments that matter most every day. Think about standing up from a chair, walking across a parking lot, climbing a flight of stairs, stepping off a curb, or quickly regaining your balance when you unexpectedly lose your footing. None of these actions depend on a single muscle working alone. They require different parts of the body to work together as a team. Strength, balance, coordination, posture, control. The wall-facing squat with calf raise reflects this reality. Rather than isolating one muscle, it encourages multiple systems to cooperate. As your hips become stronger, your body also learns how to stabilize itself more effectively. As balance improves, confidence often improves as well. And confidence can change the way you move through your entire day. You may become more willing to walk farther, more comfortable navigating uneven surfaces, and more confident performing activities that once felt challenging. That is why this journey is about much more than rebuilding the glutes. It is about preserving the ability to move with freedom and independence. Because the ultimate goal is not simply to look stronger. It is to live stronger. And when strength and balance develop together, everyday movement becomes safer, smoother, and more enjoyable for years to come. And when you step back and look at everything we have discussed today, a much bigger picture begins to emerge. This journey was never really about chasing the perfect appearance. It was never about comparing yourself to who you were 20 or 30 years ago. And it was never about forcing your body to do more than it is ready to do. The real goal is something far more meaningful. It is freedom. Freedom to stand with confidence. Freedom to walk comfortably. Freedom to move through your day without feeling limited by stiffness, weakness, or uncertainty. Throughout this video, we explored an important idea. Physical changes that occur with age are not always the result of age alone. Very often, they reflect movement patterns and habits that have developed gradually over time. The encouraging news is that the body remains adaptable. When you improve awareness, support healthy movement patterns, and practice consistently, positive changes can happen at any stage of life. That is why the 2 exercises we discussed are not simply exercises. They are tools that can help you reconnect with how your body moves. And that reconnection can influence posture, balance, strength, and overall confidence. As you move forward, remember that progress does not need to be dramatic to be meaningful. A little more stability when walking. A little more comfort when standing. A little more confidence during daily activities. These are victories worth celebrating. So be patient with yourself. Stay consistent. Focus on quality rather than perfection. And most importantly, keep moving. Your body has supported you through decades of experiences, challenges, and achievements. Treat it with care, give it the opportunity to move well, and continue building the strength and confidence that allow you to enjoy life with greater freedom for years to come.